Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
And we are back with your Survivor News, covering Survivor Season 46, Episode 2. We have an all-star lineup. We've got several faces on your screen. If you're listening on YouTube, let's welcome back to the podcast, the man, the myth, the Jack, the Atkins. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Feeling good. We got our first guest of the season, and I'm excited for you to introduce her and get to chatting about this episode with all you guys.
Yes. Now let's welcome back to the podcast a very old man, because the time this podcast comes out, it will be someone's birthday. So let's welcome to the podcast, Old Man Wendell. Welcome back.
I will say I have several years under my belt, but I will say that there aren't several people on the podcast. It's just 4 of us, Brice.
Well, I mean, let's we can get Jelinski to weigh in on this if we need to, but enough of the old man's tire. Let's welcome to the podcast a legend in their own right. They killed it on season 43, a good personal Judy of mine. Let's welcome to the podcast Miss Karla Cruz Hey.
What an honor to be here. Thank you so much. I'm excited.
Yes. Before we get into the Survivor episode, we have got some housework duties to get to. But before we talk about the Brice and Win Tour 46 stops, Jackery, I kept telling you last season I had a surprise for you, and it kind of took a while to get it. But I feel like we did a power ranking for season 45, and before we were even recording, Karla and Jack were sharing their love for Fortnite, and we know that Jack is a gamer. So I just really wanted to formally introduce Jack to his Pokemon.
Oh, let's go.
Jack loves Pokemon. He still plays Pokemon Go. So we had a very talented artist by the name of Patrick take heed to Jack's love, and so Jack is officially a Pokemon. So I'll make sure I'll send that to Jack. So you can maybe he could be your avatar in Fortnite. But we we are in mid-swing of BWP Tour 46. We just had an amazing stop in New York, which Karla was there. Our next stop is going to be the Washington of DC. Next Wednesday, we'll be at Duke's Grocery in the Navy Yard. We've got some amazing people lined up. We've got Karla. We've got Azza from the Cookout. We've got Mimi from Big Brother season 25. We've got Becky Lee, James Jones, Gio, Brandon Shapiro, and as the War Dog has pointed out on Twitter, there are 2 big question marks. So, if you've never been to our DC stop, what a time to pull up, because, the BWP Tour 46 is off to an amazing start. Would you not agree, Wendeezy?
I have to agree. We're having a lot of fun, and DC is always a great stop. So I'm excited to go there.
Yes, and Karla will be joining us in DC. So listen, the more, the merrier. We had another 2-hour episode. It seems that a lot of the fans maybe weren't so happy with the 2-hour episode. When Survivor posted their reel, a lot of people under them were like, "Hey, yo, Jeff, if it's one elimination, keep it to 90 minutes. So I just am curious to know everyone's thoughts on this 2-hour episode for one elimination.
I'm happy to jump in because this was actually this was the main thing for me. This episode was, for the first time in history, I think I might have been like, this episode is a little too long. And maybe it's because I was watching it solo and there was a lot of commercials, and with all the commercials, the pace just kind of was all messed up for me. Usually I watch with friends as well. And so during the commercials, you get a chance to talk about what's going on. And this time it just felt like, also on top of that, the episode for me wasn't particularly interesting to the point where it had to be 2 hours, right? Like the eventual boot sort of felt like going into the episode, if I had to predict a boot, that's who I would have guessed. So it's like, why are we running around for an hour just like acting like that's not gonna happen? You know what I mean? But I would like my mind to be changed because I'm a little bit low on this episode and I would like to be higher on it. So
Well,
I
got
can't really
takes,
comment.
but go
Yeah,
ahead,
on the
Karla.
pacing, because I didn't get to watch it live, so I watched without commercials. But yeah, online I did see that. I will though disagree on. I think it was a really good. It was an interesting episode, just because I mean, even the thought of them trying to flip it on Kenzie was like, where the hell did that come from? But yeah, we could talk more about that as we go through the episode, though.
I watched it without commercials, and I watched it earlier today, and I thought, okay, if we have a 2-hour episode, make it a premiere so I could get to know these people. If not, I could have done with 90 minutes. And regarding all the running around, Karla, later in the afternoon, I almost felt insulted. I'm like, why am I watching all of this and they're making me truly like I'm just like, why are they putting so much time into all of this? And I'm truly thinking like, oh my gosh, this is great. It's going to be a huge move on Kenzie. When in actuality, like Jack said, like we could have all predicted that Jess was going home, but man, they had all this extra time to kind of fool us. The only people they were fooling with was us because according to the exit press, even Jess knew she was going home. So if you ask me, I'm like, man, y'all did too much. I could have done 90 minutes.
It felt very like performative and a little bit like self-aggrandizing of like it was sort of self-aware of like, oh, we need to make all these flashy things happen. It's like it's okay if the straightforward thing just happens, and we don't need 2 hours of razzle dazzle sometimes.
Let me be the red herring here, right? One, I always love when editing fools us, right? Like that means we are into the episode. For me, it wasn't necessarily about who went home. I think what I appreciated the most about this episode was seeing cracks in winning teams. Normally, we don't see the cracks or any of the flaws in teams until they lose. And so for me, I loved how they were just planting so many different seeds between each and every tribe. So although it kind of sort of was like, all right, my good sis going home this episode, I felt like I was taking notes. I was making a list. You could call me Santa Claus because I just was like, okay, I see where you at. I see where you at. I could see the potential break. Like, I don't know. So I was trying to be a survivor savant and kind of like look beyond who's going home and kind of seeing down the road.
I could totally agree with that, Brice, because I think within the context of the episode, a lot of the stuff felt flashy and unnecessary and kind of not relevant. But for the grand scheme of the season, all these like little chaotic events that happen, these cracks that you mentioned, could be setting us up for some good episodes down the line. So I could definitely agree with you there.
Okay, but the consensus is if it's one boot, 90 minutes.
Karla, did you have something?
Yeah, well, no, I agree with Brice. I think that the foolery or like tricking the audience, right, with the Kenzie boot might not have been productive for this episode, right? But you don't know down the line whether or not I can already see the cracks, right? With Q, Tiff, now Kenzie and Banu. Yeah, that's a setup for something because Tiffany has that extra vote, or no, the idol. And then what else was I going to say? There were some elements though that I did turn to Lisa, my wife, and I was like, do they really need to include that? I think there was like a slow-mo in the challenge that looked like a 300, like out of the movie 300. And I was like, I don't think this was necessary. There's parts of the episode I was like, these are completely filler. But aside from that, I totally read into like people are planting seeds right now because it's going to come down the line.
I think that is a benefit of the 2 hours for sure. I think sometimes we get that in 90 minutes also. But what I will say about the challenge, Karla, is that I think they did a really good job of showing how difficult holding up that structure was. Like they took their time. I thought this thing was over a couple times for everything to fall down for each tribe each time. So we had extra time to kind of see that and to kind of see, like Brice said, you see these cracks on all the tribes. You see how somebody said something or looked at someone or did something, and I think we don't always get that. So that is the benefit of having longer episodes.
Yeah. Well, all right. Glad we got everybody's take. Can the official moderator of Survivor News take over?
Sure. And we can obviously bounce around with this because a lot of it is just, things that are going down at camp. So I sort of broke it up into each tribe before the mini challenge and then what goes down after the mini challenge. But to kick it off, we get back to Yanu. The legend Jelinski has just been voted out. And we see that, Banu is a little bit worried about the strategic gameplay going on in his tribe. He sees that he's surrounded by a lot of what he believes to be solid players. We also see that Tiffany and Q start to get a little bit worried about Kenzie because to appease Banu, Kenzie goes and really has like a good talk with him and wins him over. She's definitely a social butterfly, and they're worried that down the line that could be dangerous. And then we also see that Jess is starting to open up a little bit, sort of her and her tribe are kind of embracing her quirks. And, Kenzie pulls her and Banu in and sort of offers a potential alliance that is not really reciprocated, which kind of throws Kenzie off. And she's like, oh, don't tell Q and Tiff about this because they wouldn't like this. That's sort of like what's going down on Yanu at this point. What kind of stood out to you guys here?
For me, an earlier argument I had with Wendeezy was, Q kind of saying that he feels like Kenzie doesn't want him there. And one of the reasons that Q identified that he felt like Kenzie could be a liability was that she was off talking to everybody. And she's being a social butterfly. And I hate that here we are, episode 2 of Survivor News, and here I am about to quote James Jones, right? James Jones has these theories, right? And he feels like the new era of Survivor, everyone talks, right? Like it's not how it used to be where it's like we're in alliance and we're going to ice you out. So for me, I ain't mad at Kenzie for watering every seed in her garden. Now, does that make her a threat? Absolutely. But I think for me, what I have a question mark about Q was that, well, one, if we in an alliance and Jelinski sucks at completing tasks, we still in an alliance. It's a number game. So it's like, regardless, I'm still going to work with him. But we see these like glimpses of Q where he's like, he weak, I need strong people, he out. And now it's like, Kenzie's a social butterfly, I don't trust him, he out. Like, so it's like, I feel like I get it, but also like, bruh, it's the second episode. Like, I don't know. I feel like, here we go with, but I just feel like, keep that in the back of your mind. But for the sake of you want a strong tribe, Kenzie for sure pulls her part. So that's just my take on it.
Brice?
Yeah, I want to hear you say.
Brice, yes, you can make an alliance on the first day of a 26-day game. And yes, if this ally of yours botches 4 things in one day, you can say, you know what? Maybe this doesn't need to be my ally anymore. First and foremost, you are allowed to change your opinions.
I never said you wasn't.
Okay, first of all. Second of all, regarding Kenzie, who is kind of reminding me of Kelly from last season. Kenzie is someone we need to keep our eye on. Kenzie can win this game. But
I believe the correct spelling of her name is Mother, but continue.
Regarding Mother, if I'm in an alliance with someone and I sit back and watch them politicking with everyone, I have my own observation. Ooh, this person is playing the game, right? That's just what I see. I don't know what her and Banu are talking about down there. But then if that's backed up with someone, a third party coming to me and saying the pitch that she said to me, and that actually checks out with what I've kind of been observing, now it's like, not only do I have my own views of things from afar, now it's corroborated by someone saying something. Now I'm like, okay, I can again change my mind. So it's not like I understand the value of alliances. Me, Dom, and Laurel got through the whole game like that. But I also understand the value in staying malleable enough to say, you know what, maybe I should bow out of this one or that one. That's all. My point was, alliances are great. I used it. It helped me. But you know, you should be able to change your mind as you are in life.
How did your alliance with Boston Rob and Parv work out?
I didn't have one with them.
Oh,
But I did get farther than both of them in Winners at War.
okay.
Oh,
I'll just add that not that I have to side with anyone, but I think I kind of side a little bit with Wendell here, in the sense that this reminds me of the Lindsay vote in my season, right? Where
Oh.
I was riding with her, but then I saw how quickly and masterfully she was connecting with Gio and probably trying to get information out of Gio. And if they found out that I was working both of them, I could have been next in line. So I was like, I gotta chop it off now. So I can see the appeal for Q to want to, and it's smart as a viewer, right? We're seeing that, and if he sees that on the island, I too, my red flag would have gone up. Yeah, I think that's all I'll say though. But you have to be able to quickly adapt, or else someone else is going to come get you. I think. I don't know.
I think this is an interesting discussion because, well, I don't think like what Brice is saying and what Wendell is saying are like diametrically opposed. Like I think both of those things are valid in their own right. But the thing that's more interesting to me that Brice sort of brought up, and I was thinking about this last night and I sort of forgot about it until you brought this up, Brice, is this idea. This is going to be kind of a weird connection, but I saw some sports analysis about someone was calling like reverse Moneyball. Right. And so if you know Moneyball, it's about the Oakland Athletics and how they use analytics when they had like low budget to find like the most valuable players for like low prices, and how like that sort of mentality has now dominated sports. And this idea of reverse Moneyball is like if people are overvaluing analytics, how do you go back sort of to like the roots of the game and then ignore analytics in a way that's effective? And so to put this in Survivor terms is what I was thinking about is we've got this whole right. So bring it back into Survivor. This prompted me to think about the Survivor episode because there's this whole notion now, right, that the numbers are everything. I feel like, especially in the new era, it's like, okay, our tribe might be weak, but if I've got my numbers, you know, we'll go far. We'll be good. And obviously, on paper, that's a great idea. But I think that if too many people think that way, inevitably, not all of them are going to have the numbers, and now you're sacrificing the strength of your tribe. So now I'm wondering, is it now like a cycle of strategy in Survivor where we go back to like season 1 strategy of like, let's just keep the tribe strong? Because I feel like that's an idea that is getting super lost now. But in the new era where there's fewer swaps, smaller tribes, that actually should be the priority. It's like more valuable than ever to have a strong tribe because we see time and time again, every season there's like at least one tribe that never goes to tribal pre-merge. And to just be able to go to the merge without ever having to vote is like a huge advantage.
But we also have seen that it's not really an advantage because we see the tribes that have gone to tribal more, they are way more savvy than the ones that just get there for the first time.
Well, you could be savvy. You could be a great tribal council player, but if there's only 3 of you, it could be a little more difficult than if there are 5, 6 of you.
Exactly. And I think, Brice, your point is absolutely true. Like you think about a Malcolm and a Denise, where they go to every tribal and they emerge really strong and both make a deep run in the game. But if you think about the strategy from their initial tribe in general, for the other players that got voted out, obviously that is not a good strategy like across the board. Of course, in a Malcolm and Denise situation, they know their connection was good, so it's good for them. But maybe there's other players on that tribe or in the new era that are like, well, I don't really care if we lose because I have my people. But if everyone is thinking they have their people, some people are going to go home.
I agree with that statement, Jack. However, I do feel like in the new era, there are more incentives to go to tribal now. Because if you find the lockbox, that's you know. So I mean, but no, I hear what you. I agree.
Well, I definitely disagree with that because if you like this beware advantage, if you find the lockbox, your only detriment is that you lose your vote. But if you never have to go to tribal, then it's like nothing ever happened at all. You know what I mean?
If we know if you don't go to tribal and we make the merge?
I don't think we know yet.
I think my guess is that you can get your vote back, but you would not have an idol. That's where I think it will be interesting because as the merge approaches, Brice, like you're right. It would be, we might see a player be like, okay, we haven't gone to tribal and I would like my idol to go to the merge. Let me throw this challenge. I think that could happen. That could be very interesting. But that's obviously way different to be like, okay, this is probably the last challenge before the merge than to be episode 1 voting out theoretically strong players, or episode 2 thinking about doing the same thing. I don't know. It's like, obviously, if you know you have like a ride or die, it's very solid. But if you're just like, okay, well, I don't really care as long as we can keep the numbers, all of a sudden you're down to like 4 or 3 people, and it's like, I'm the odd man out now. Like, I have my alliance. And to my point, kind of what I was thinking, like we saw last season with like Ariba, I think with this 3-tribe split, it's so important in the early game to just kind of like maximize your social umbrella of like, of course you have those close bonds with the people that you survive with, but to just have like 4 or 5 people in the game that you started with, that you all know each other, I think is a huge advantage compared to like an Emily and a Caleb last season going in, knowing to the merge, knowing very few people. It kind of put them at a tough standpoint. Like,
right. I think my positive on Q was I love the fact that him and Tiff are locked in. Like, I love the fact that they're locked in. You know, me as a Black man, I love to see it, right? Like, I love to see them working together, and I love to see that it seems very organic. It seems like Q can be himself. It seems like Tiffany can be herself, and they're giving each other the information. And so I do like that about Q. So I just, was a little like, feeling if you don't want to work with Kenzie, like, sit back and see what you're gonna do. Like, yeah.
Do we see a world where I love the optics and the power and the strength in their connection? And
I mean, it's the power.
They can keep real with each other.
It's the
okay, please.
And it's great that Tiffany is there as well. But
what?
What? I was talking about
okay. What I was saying is there a world? Do we see a world where one of them does hold Kenzie higher than this counterpart?
I think Tiffany is crazy if she don't keep both of them options open. I think that Tiffany's best. Well, I mean, because again, then that reminds me of Kelly. But I think it's a world where you keep the door open.
My next question to that is, who is in the best position out of these 3?
Mother.
Kenzie?
No. I think it's Tiffany.
Well, yeah. Well, Tiffany, because she has the idol, right? But
she's Q is clearly a ride or die, and clearly Kenzie is going to ride for her. So it's like, no one's going to turn on her.
That's what I'm asking. Without considering the idol, who's positioned best between them? And I think
Tiffany.
I think Tiff, right? Brice?
Yeah. Given that logic, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, just asking.
Okay.
I'm ready. Brice, we're gonna fight, but it's gonna come up later.
Okay. All right, let's go to the next tribe, Jack.
Yeah, so we bounce over to the Nami tribe, the Orange tribe. We see Venus is struggling to connect with people. Tevin sort of positioned himself as the king of this tribe, and Venus is sort of like the one person he hasn't connected with. And in order to maintain her game, Soda sort of decides to say, hey, I really like Venus, but if she's the odd one out, I got to distance myself a little bit. And we see them sort of have an awkward conversation where Venus is like, hey, do you want to talk today? And Soda's like, maybe not today. And it's like, all right, you only got 26 of them. So to just be like, not today, I'm good, is definitely a bad sign that Venus acknowledges. And she's sort of figuring out, how I'm sort of on my own here. I'm not clicking with anyone. What do I do? On the flip side of that, we have Randon, who's sort of also a little bit isolated because as we've seen, we sort of have Tevin, Soda, and Hunter as sort of like the big 3 here, and Liz is a bit of a wild card. So Randon's like, how do I fit in? Fortunately, he's able to find the beware advantage. It's the same one sort of that Tiffany found, so they're going to have to wait until they lose a challenge. But, Randon decides to say, hey, there's a big 3 on my tribe that I'm not a part of. Like, I need to put something in motion. Liz is an absolute wild card, so I'm going to go to the person that I actually thought I should trust the least and make an alliance, which is Venus. obviously, I don't know how I feel about opening up with the information of her. It's like, hey, didn't trust you, but I need you now. I have an advantage. Like, it's a little bit, I feel like maybe he was making those inroads a little bit before that we didn't see. But I mean, I think this Nami dynamic is super interesting, and where we see these two like strategic players kind of make a bond out of necessity where they don't trust each other really. The Nami dynamic, like I said, is pretty interesting. What do we think about what's going on this orange beach?
If I could get a little emotional for 2.3 seconds, I just want to shout out to our YouTube commenters. We appreciate all your intellect and your thoughts. And, we always appreciate the comments. But there was one comment left last week by Mrs. B, and it gave me pause. She said, wow, watching Tevin on this season must be a surreal experience for you, Brice. I felt especially when you were talking about your pregame revelations about Hunter. It's so wild to see the parallels between your experiences and now Tevin's and how fundamentally it's changed. I imagine it's so much more intense and meaningful and probably a little complicated for you watching it, having lived through it on your own season and fighting so hard to change the system so that players like Tevin have a better chance to succeed. Just wanted to let you know, as a viewer of the show and a listener of the podcast, it's very moving and beautiful watching your impact play out. I hope you know how much you are treasured and important part of the community you are.
Say it again.
I really appreciated that. Sometimes I struggle with receiving my flowers, and I never really looked at it like that until Miss B kind of explained it, because it's like, in a world, Tevin could be me, Hunter is Jeremiah, and Soda is Alexis, and my how the tables have turned. And it's like, here we have this person who people say is so much like me, and look at him running the tribe. So I just wanted to just shout out Tevin, because it is interesting to see that, and that comment really resonated with me. So I just wanted to bring that to the posse. We appreciate your comments, and I love it.
One thing I say often is that Survivor wasn't ready for Brice the time that Survivor got on. What was it, 23 years ago? Brice in the 90s. But this Tevin is awesome to watch. He has all the personality that you have, Brice. He's this magnetic, hilarious, fun, super, like, the way he tells stories is amazing. And I
call him Tevin Angelo.
Tevin Angelo. He's gonna be great to watch, So that is a great comment. That's what's up.
Yeah. And again, I just love to see a person like him, who I see so much of myself in, and to show up as their full self, and it not be a liability, it not be something that people isolate, and in fact, it's something that makes him the leader of the tribe. It brings me a lot of joy. Now, I see myself in Tevin, but it's hard for me to relate in his position on the tribe, right? Like, he has surpassed me. I love it. However, my heart goes out to my girl Venus, right? Like, I feel like I can sort of, I see her, and I feel like I know what it's like to be out there, and it's like, no matter what you do, like, ain't nobody seeing you. And I know people feel like different things, but I hope that Venus can turn it into a fly trap and take somebody in, like, I want her to gain some power. What you got, Karla?
The only thing I'm worried about is at least the way they showed it, right, in the filming of it, is Randon comes up to her at night, right? He tells her about this advantage that isn't an idol yet. And from what it looks like, they film her confessional right after, right? So she's already, this is going down. I have this idol. I have this advantage. I'm going to do me with it. And I know that the hype is real. And like, in moments like that, that's all you could think about. But that's where I worry, because it's not hers yet, right? Like, Randon does not have an idol. And sometimes when we get some, like, there's moments where I was getting power hungry and just like, what can I do to like get this person out, that I've lost vision of the bigger game. So that's the only thing I worry about is it's not hers, but yet she has plans to do stuff with it. And what if Randon flips and he's like, nah, I ain't gonna give you shit, or like, yeah, that's the only thing I worry about.
Go ahead, Brice.
I was gonna say, I feel like it's like we in middle school and they picking the dodgeball players, right? Like, it's like, you've sat out for 3 games and nobody's picked you. And then finally on this 3rd round, they like, Karla, you're in. Like, Karla, like, we gonna whoop they butt, we win it. And it's like, actually, Karla, we don't know what's about to happen. But I feel like he just tags her in. And I feel like that energy is like, yes. But also, it's like, I do have some same concerns. Like, sis, it ain't your idol.
Yeah.
But knowledge is power. And
Mhm.
if it happens to go down, she can utilize this information.
So, to be clear, this is an idol that once they lose, then it's activated. He has to dig it up and do something to gain power of it, right?
We had a 2-hour episode last week and this week explaining that, Wendell. Yes.
All I needed was a yes.
Okay, you got it. You had 4 hours.
So we're talking. May I finish my sentence, Brice? So we're talking about 2 people that are on the bottom or on the outs now sharing this info with each other. Now, if you're forced to go to tribal, eyes are already on these people. Now it's time to activate this idol. I'm just saying, like, to me, it seems like a lot can go wrong in this arrangement when those 2 are the 2 sharing this information with each other.
A lot could go right, though.
And I think that this is a case where either of them can kind of almost throw each other under the bus. And the last thing I'll say is, when you're on a tribe of 6 and there are 3 people that seem very tight, you don't have the majority. So they need to do what they need to do to figure out this Liz situation. I know Liz likes to talk about all her money. That's what's up. Liz, let me hold some, but like,
girl, not you or Survivor talking about you
For
a
real?
multi-millionaire.
like, so there's no majority. So like, not only do they need to figure that out, but like, yo, get Liz in the mix too. That's all I'm saying. I said a lot.
For sure. No, it's definitely interesting seeing like Randon and Venus both seem like scrappy players. So to just see them be like, we got no one else. Like, let's just work together. It's like we don't see that a lot, but it makes sense, right? It's like, let's figure something out. We're both on literally on an island here.
We're the last 2 people on the world.
Yeah, they're like,
together.
They're like, Liz is over on a Zoom call for her company, like on the beach, and then like Soda, Tevin, and Hunter are like reminiscing about camp or something. It's like, where are we? Like, no, I so far on this season, like I haven't really had any players that I've like really connected to yet that have made it really like interesting for me. But if I had to pick one, I would probably say it's Venus, because I just love, like, I feel like immediately, like the first conversation we had about her, she's like, okay, my back is against the wall. I got a loaded gun. Like, I'm ready to shoot at my own team, like whatever. Like, she's just, I don't know if she's going to win, but anytime the target is going to switch towards her, I know it's going to be some entertaining stuff. And she's already ready to throw her whole squad under the bus. And clearly, I mean, she's got some strategic knowledge that if she gets with the right people, she might be able to unlock that and really make some things happen. So it's been really fun to watch her. And then Randon, I was sleeping on a little bit too, but I like the moves he was making this episode. I do think, like Karla said, telling about this beware advantage right away is a little bit like, all right, but I'm like,
yeah,
they're both going balls to the wall. So
can we, one last person I want to talk about the challenge, Soda. Now, I love my girl. I love me some Soda, right? Like, I feel like if I could pick the energy that I would want to play like on my original season, it would be Soda, right? Like, I love her energy. I am almost worried that I love her energy so much. I am worried that she's almost like overplaying in the sense of, this is just my one hot take. When she saw that people were turning on Venus, she was like, see ya. Like, is there a world where like use that, like I don't know, but again, you tell me, Wendell, you tell me, Karla, y'all have gone farther in the game than me. Like, is there a world, and you too, Jack, is there a world where it's like, okay, I know that information, but let me be a Kenzie, let me like give her an outlet, let me try to like,
I think of it like a Caleb last season,
right, with the Emily.
And I'm not the best person to speak on this, but I totally agree with you, Brice. I don't think the answer is ever to just completely ice someone out. Maybe you go off with them a little bit less, but you should still be like nice to someone. If I was connecting with someone and then because I was on the outs, they just like stopped talking to me, I'd be like, damn, that's like so fake. Like, no, it's not even game. That's just like, now you're just not going to mess with me because like I'm on the outs. That's like whack. That's just whack. So I definitely think for Soda, it's not a bad idea to cut ties a little bit, but I think we always see the best players and the people that usually win are the ones that are able to balance a lot of delicate relationships rather than just icing people out for the sake of their alliance. Because then you have no options other than your alliance.
Right. And again, I'm saying I ain't mad at her decision because it's like, you need to stay with your people. But I'm like, is that a missed opportunity for you to like plant a little seed, water a little garden?
Yeah. I totally would have done that, like, just so I can get people worried for each other and not for me, right? Like, oh, this is what's happening. I would play both sides in that case. But at the same time, when you're like pre-jury, it's also easier for you just to be like, if this is the next person that needs to go, they're not going to be in the jury. It's not going to impact my game. If I do make, like you also think about where are the numbers. I'm kind of torn. But options are important. I'd go with the options. And yeah, it's a little early to just kind of like let someone go.
And I guess another thought that you don't normally think about is, say you and that person, y'all not speaking the same language, right? Like, it's like, say you have that little bit of friction. So in Soda's case where it's like, I love you, but like your communication style may not be working with mine. So maybe it really is easier for Soda to like cut the losses than actually say like, let me invest in this. But so again, it's always, we're Monday morning quarterbacking.
But we have this tribe is a strong tribe, and like they perform like despite them coming back to camp and there being whatever rifts and whatnot, they get in the challenge and there might be those rifts in the challenge. They still do a good job in these challenges. So there is a likelihood that they go pretty far together, and that, Soda, it might have been a politically better move for her to just piece things up a little bit with Venus at the time instead of writing her off.
But those are the tribes that make it even more dangerous for that win so much that when it is time, right? That's when the egg crack won't open.
Yeah, and Venus is ready for that, and she said that.
Mm-hmm.
Venus got the salt, pepper. She ready to scramble them eggs.
Can I ask you guys, what is it that made Venus kind of ostracized from jump on this tribe?
They're saying that it was her, that like the vibe. The vibe was more like a down vibe.
Her vibe is kind of down, or because I don't understand why, but I'm trying to wrap my head around how she's responding to this, and then that makes me think things. So I'm trying to get to the why is it that she's ostracized in the first place.
She's has said that she's a more introverted person, and there are big personalities. So it almost makes me think of a Couture and a Brice a little bit, right? Where you have these big bubbly personalities, and you just might be like, I know how it is when you out there and it's like so much is going on and you just sit there and be quiet. Now, I do have a hot take, but I also think that I'll reserve my thought.
So yes, so she's introverted. She feels like she isn't heard. And then from Soda's mouth on the show, she said that she thinks that Venus often plays the victim. And then Venus said that with Tevin's friends with everyone, but has never made an attempt to talk to her. But I think Tevin has said that. I don't know what Tevin has said. about Venus.
He said it's kind of similar, like her attitude and different things. But I also feel like, and I mean this respectfully, but I also feel like when people we judge people by how they look, right? So I also feel like how, Venus may look to other people, that they expect a certain type of energy from someone like that. And I think that maybe Venus doesn't necessarily give that energy. She's like one of the people where it's like, I'm gonna sit back. I ain't going to just open up to anybody, like almost like a Jess. And so I think that might be a little off-putting to this tribe that seems like so kumbaya. And it's like, we want to work with you. Like, like we yellow, we're bright. And then it's like, you're kind of sort of met with that energy that's a little off-putting.
So you think it has something to do with her appearance not matching up with her being extroverted?
I think it's just a lot of different combinations.
I also think, like, just perception wise, I mean, they talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the tribe, like how they thought she was. They were calling her princess and stuff. She's, very good looking, like has this put together look even on the island, where maybe they associate with that with like privilege, not saying she is or she isn't. And then that main group of like Tevin, Soda, and Hunter feels like, maybe they're a little more like Southern. Maybe they didn't grow up super comfortable. And so maybe they immediately kind of wrote her off. And then you just have the other people being a Liz and a Randon, where for Venus, those are people that are 10 plus years older than her. Liz, clearly kind of a wild card. Randon is like an older guy who initially didn't really have a lot of trust in her because the whole Parvati association, where there's just not really anyone in this tribe that seems like they click with Venus as a person. And I feel like sometimes that's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, where they perceive her to be off-putting or like standoffish. And so she's like, well, why don't they want that? They don't want to talk to me. Like, I'm going to be standoffish. And they're like, oh, she's standoffish. If that's,
and then
so I think that's
it's like when
perception is.
She makes suggestions, they kind of do the other thing. And so it's like, when I tell you I feel Venus, there are so many times in my life that like I can relate to that. And sometimes it can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. And but what I say to that, when people give that analogy, well, sometimes it's hard to get out to self-fulfill the prophecy. It's easier said than done. And so when you are on this island and you are ostracized, it can be a difficult thing. So, and
I mean, haven't played Survivor, but I think even like in any like the Circle or any other social game, sometimes this isn't necessarily a good thing, but sometimes having a common dislike or distaste for someone in your group helps you and the other people come together. And so in a game where everyone's, it's a social game, it's a game of tribalism and voting people out. Once there's some momentum to be like, oh, we're going to take out Venus, like we don't really mess with her, whether it's justified or not, it's kind of easy to just be like, for everyone else to be like, oh, if that's the group consensus, yeah, I don't like Venus. Like and then we'll take her out. And that's just like the easy thing to do. Whereas like in real life, if you're a social person, you're going to kind of make an effort with everybody. But in the game of Survivor, doing that might actually hurt you, because then you become associated with this sort of like the black swan of the group, where, it's easy. Like once there's there's some momentum to be like, okay, she's the odd one out, that's just, that ball continues to roll and get bigger.
I do want to say one thing that I found interesting was a conversation that Venus and Soda had, where Venus was like, this is how I feel being in this tribe. And then I don't know word for word, but Soda was like, okay, can you make sure, you don't say you when talking? Like, it was a very direct conversation that I was like a little shocked about, because you rarely hear, at least I rarely heard people being very direct with each other about how they were feeling. And I often feel like sometimes it's better masked, those feelings, right? Like if I were Soda, I would have been like, I'm so sorry that this is how you're feeling. Like, I'm gonna check myself next time just to like ensure that she's feeling good. But then if I'm feeling the opposite way, I wouldn't, that conversation was just interesting. That's all I wanted.
Well, and it's interesting too, because, at least in episode 1 and maybe the beginning of this episode, right, when they're sort of breaking it off, Soda's like, I love Venus as a person, but like right now, but as the episode progresses, it's kind of like, I don't think they really like each other as people. Like, Soda's like, okay, Venus is kind of like plays the victim, Venus is like, every time we win immunity, Soda like rips it out of my hands, which I think is like a justified reason to be kind of annoyed. But there definitely seems like it's like, oh, I love them as a person, but it's like, okay, maybe we can recognize that maybe we're not the best of friends anymore.
Yeah, and again, listening to a little bit of On the Fire,
What's that? Is that a cooking channel?
Barbecue show?
what's Jeff podcast Fire
On Fire.
On Fire. He was talking about Banu, but I think that this situation could play a little bit to Venus and to Soda, where it's like, I think we all have our perceived, we get out there with our own baggage, and it's like, when do we make the switch to like, this ain't working? How can I switch? And again, with that Soda and Venus conversation, right, where Venus is saying you, and Soda is like, you saying you were them. Well, one, I think Venus meant you, right? Yeah. And so then she kind of pedaled back a little bit, right? But in a different world, if that conversation went a little different, that could have like cemented them, and that could have been like, yeah, I almost wish Venus was like, actually, I'm kind of talking to you and saying like, I was hoping we would connect. Like, I love everything. Like, you know what I mean? But I also, and this is what I said about Soda, which is why I love Soda, is that she locked in. Soda is playing, right? Like, I just feel like all 4 cylinders are on go. And I think that it might be stopping her to humanize Venus a little bit, right? Because she's like, listen, that's your baggage. You got to unpack that. We playing Survivor. I don't got time to go. But it's like, I almost feel like that is true. But also, I think what we have learned is that it's these human connections that really can propel you. So it's like, I see both sides of it. But now let's head on down to the Green Tribe. Shout out to Dr. Maria, okay? I'm not old classic.
Of all the tribes, this tribe probably has the least strategically like going down. It reminds me a lot of like Bello from last season, where the girls all come together, they pull in Brando, or in this case, they pull in a Charlie, and then there's a little bit of a middle group that forms where the guys are like, okay, we got to combat this. They try to pull Charlie back in. Now Charlie goes to Maria and is like, hey, we got options. I would like to lock in with you, and whatever we decide, but I want us to be dialed. And I felt like Maria and Charlie came to an agreement like very solidly, and it feels like they're both on the same. Maria was very like open to get in the mix, which Dr. Maria, she's been cooking so far, both episodes.
Dr. Maria in that minivan, and she is okay. Yeah. Dr. Maria gassed that minivan up. She got her seatbelt on, the oil change. Ain't no rotors wrong with that Dodge Caravan. Like, Dr. Maria is coasting.
Yeah, she's in a good spot. And so, you know, with that strategic dynamic going on, we get a lot of, you know, their camp life. Ben builds a fire, and he has a lot of strong emotions, you know, growing up, being sort of an outcast in some senses, found his love for rock music and playing the guitar. And now he's out on Survivor living the dream, and he's able to get things going, and he's blending quite well with his tribe. He has this kind of different, unique energy, but it's just infectious, and everyone's really enjoying it. We also see that Charlie and Ben do this long-winded song battle name off, which was an interesting segment. I don't know if I needed like 35 minutes of it, but Charlie clearly loves Taylor Swift, and CBS seems to be capitalizing on that, because as we know, you put Taylor Swift in any form of media, people are going to watch. But yeah, that's kind of the cut and dry of the Sega tribe. What's sort of jumping out to you guys so far over here?
For me, right? Q has the aesthetic, the body, the build, the...
That's what he has. Let's continue.
So yeah, you know, but also, so we clear.
You're not even on this tribe. Hold on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know, but so we clear though. Austin is still my number one, but you know, Q is, you know, it's his boot camp type of style. Like, I want to be sleeping, and I want Q to be like, get up, Okay,
I'm so
I'm gonna
glad she
jump
got-
on up. Okay, but I think it is Benjamin. It's something about his personality. It's something about his like energy that when I just stop and think about my love for Ben, it's like, "Ooh, do I need to change my britches? Like, why is my britches getting wet? Like, I don't know. It's just like Ben has like this like cuteness about him that I love his energy. And I think him even sharing about him growing up and him stuttering, you would see someone like a Ben and you would just think that they've been confident all their life. And to know that like it has been a struggle and a work in progress, and for him to just be living his best life, like it's like,
Yeah.
I be, it's almost as if like call me a piece of paper and put me through the shredder. You know, I don't know. It's just something like
Wow.
I'm just saying.
What?
Okay.
Are you? Is
Someone stop this, man.
I'm just saying. I mean, listen, I'm just being honest. Is there something about Ben's spirit that like his just
Yes, I
that
see.
it's his energy is what I find attractive. Like I you know, I just like, okay, shred me up.
Yeah, you definitely described it in your own special way, but definitely Ben has a unique, lovable energy that is you know, this Sega tribe is the most positive, good vibe tribe, and I'm sure Ben is a major factor in spearheading that. So,
I also am worried about Tim, but
Yes.
I'm worried about Tim, but I'm not worried about Tim, but I am worried about Tim, right? Because Tim, he ain't you know, listen, his grandmama and mama taught him a lot of things, but I love the fact that he is like keen in on the girls is doing something. We got the guy, like I love the fact that he's like he is constantly keeping his eye out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I love Charlie, right? Because I would have thought that Charlie would have just like stayed with the Charlie's Angels, but Charlie got with Dr. Maria and basically was like, listen, okay, we need to do which way is going to work for us. And I said, okay, you better shake it off, Charlie.
Yeah.
But I also would love to challenge Charlie. His love for Taylor Swift, I feel like, is my love for a Destiny's Child. And I feel like I could go song for song for song for song for song for song for him.
with Destiny's Child?
With Destiny's Child.
Gotcha.
You can
Okay.
name over 100 Destiny's Child songs.
I can.
Do they have that many?
They too. If we not first of all, Karla.
I'm sorry, but I don't. That's the only thing I wonder. Do they have that many
Karla?
songs?
They have multiple albums. They've got Christmas albums. Okay, so listen, we could go. We could listen.
The answer is no, Karla.
Survivor, Independent Woman, 1 and 2, Emotions, Cater to You, Lose My Breath, T-Shirt, Killing Time,
8.
Soldier.
Already said Soldier.
No, we didn't say Soldier.
Okay, fine. 9.
Nasty Girl.
10.
Second Nature.
11.
No, Part 2.
With Wyclef?
With Wyclef.
Well,
okay. 8 Days of Christmas. Little Drummer Boy.
14.
Oh my.
I mean, I don't like. If you want me to keep going, I can. But I'm just saying.
Go ahead.
Brice.
Love.
I'm on Wikipedia right now. There's like 25 total.
Jackery Atkins. That's a lie. And what we are not going to do is we're not going to sit up on no beat. First of all, Jack, I don't want to talk music with you. Number one, they have more than 25 albums. Okay.
No songs.
So, Jack, that just doesn't even make sense.
I'm looking at
no, Jack. They have more than 25 songs. Jack.
Checker. Nope.
What is that?
This Wikipedia article is looking real short, right?
Yeah, well, listen. I don't need to. First of all, I'm not going to argue with no Wikipedia about the top selling girl group in the world.
Yeah,
I just named 17 songs, and that's off of 2 albums. We still have 2 more albums.
That's why I'm not discrediting, because the fact that you named like 20 of their 25 songs is really impressive. But I mean, if you want to try to get to 100,
say my name. Bills, Bills, Bills.
When you pay my
no one's questioning. I'm not questioning your knowledge of Destiny's
I'm just saying,
Child.
Charlie, come see me.
Okay.
Hey, Jack, one might say that if there's only 25 songs, it's a lot easier to memorize all 25, right?
One would say that.
Jack, name 6 Jack Harlow songs.
Easy. Sylvia, Cody Banks, Sundown, What's Poppin', Tyler Hero, Little Secret, Side Piece.
Damn.
Young Harleys.
You're clearly looking at the screen, Jack.
I'm
You
not.
are clearly
I'm
looking
really
at the
not.
screen. Close your eyes and say it.
Ninth Grade.
Yes, slow down a little bit. All right.
Sunday Night.
Thank you, Jack. Wendell, close your eyes and name 6 Nipsey Hussle songs.
Dedication. Hustle and Motivate. Blue Laces Part 2. Victory Lap. Did we say 6?
We said 6. That was 5.
All right, let's go with Nipsey and Dom Kennedy.
I said song titles.
Man, I'm about to give you multiple songs of theirs.
No,
Check me out.
Nipsey as a all right, thank you.
Check me out.
Okay, Karla, take your glasses off. And
Okay.
what's the artist you like?
Gaga.
Okay, give me 7 Gaga songs.
Okay. Poker Face, Bad Romance, Born This Way, Million Reasons, Judas, Electric Chapel, Joanne.
Oh.
I think that's 7. One more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Karla clearly the speed was the best. So it's Karla, me, Jack, then Wendell.
Thank you.
All right.
Anyway, back to our program show.
Sorry.
Thank you, Karla. Keep this man on track.
Sorry, because Jack tried me. Hey, Brice,
I wasn't even questioning you.
Destiny's Child only has 7 songs. You better try. Listen,
Didn't say
try
7. I said
Jesus,
20.
but not
I
me.
said several.
Not
The only thing I have to say about this tribe, I'm looking at my notes.
Oh, I was about to come for you. I was about to say, wait, what you about to say about Destiny's Child?
No, not about Destiny's Child. Tribal child. I just think that Charlie, Maria, smart move. It's the best position they could be in. You don't know where the pendulum will swing, but as long as you have 2 with another 2, you're set. Reminds me of James and I, later half of Coco, when we figured it out, when we're like, this is actually the best thing for us now. It's foolproof unless obviously something happens or
How did that
So
work out for y'all though?
we made it to the merge.
just for the sake, so like we said, Siga's situation seems fairly straightforward, but just for the sake of thought experiment, if they were to go to tribal, who do you guys think would be the first person?
Tim.
I
don't know.
I don't want to say Tim, but I feel like it would be a guy.
Well, I don't think it would be Ben.
Well,
Has Maria ever talked about being close with the women?
so they on the first episode they kind of formed a alliance like right off the bat. And yeah, but for me, when I think about that tribe, I think about like Jim, right? I just think about the first couple of seconds that we seen her on that first episode. She was essentially saying like, I'll pour gasoline on everybody and I got the match. Like, I'm here to play. So for me, I just wonder if she gets a whiff of the Charlie and Dr. Maria. I feel like Jim is a wild card in the best way possible.
Uh-huh.
We need to see some more Gem, because right now, well, I'm just saying, like, I'm not even questioning what she can or can't do. It's just like I don't really know, because the edit on her right now is giving like pre-merge boo. Not because of her. It's just like we don't know anything about her. Like I could see them.
Yeah.
That's not. I'm just saying we haven't seen a lot of her. I like Gem. I got no problems with her, but It's,
Well,
but I could say the same.
what?
Well, I mean, you think about, you know,
what did the edit give Zelensky?
also first move.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, obviously. No, I'm just thinking like, right. So I think Maria and Charlie are in a really good spot, and we've seen a good amount of Mariah, considering that, you know, Sia hasn't gone to tribal. It's like we've gotten a lot of her story where I don't necessarily think she would be the one who's out because she seems pretty well adjusted. Ben seems like he's in a good spot. So to me, that leaves Tim and that leaves Jem. And
Tim is a Morehouse man.
I know that's right.
And outside of Wendell, there is something special about Morehouse men. They are resourceful. They are like, no, but I'm just saying, like, you know, and I don't want to include Wendeezy in this, but I mean, Jack, is this thing that like HBCUs do called like homecoming, and it is like a huge big deal. Spelman and Morehouse, they do this whole little homecoming thing, and Wendeezy brought me one time, and I don't know how we got separated, but we were separated for a couple of hours. I don't think I saw him or Joey to the next day, but let me just tell you,
Brice disappeared as soon as we walked into homecoming. Brice was home.
I believe it.
So I went to Temple. So like our homecomings were a little different. I wasn't ready for yeah, baby. Let me just tell you, Jack, Morehouse men.
Okay, Brice.
They different.
Brice, go somewhere.
But outside of that experience, though, every person that I have met that has gone to Morehouse, right? Like they're dynamic in some way, shape, or form. Like they aren't built normally.
All right.
But okay, well, because all right, look, I said I think the people that are most likely to go are Jem and Tim, and you guys are like, whoa. But I know if my ass said Ben or Maria,
oh no, I would be. I would also be like, I would be in your ass if you said
there's no I can say where you wouldn't be on my ass. So Brice, who do you think would go then?
Who do I think will go?
Yeah.
I'm actually going to say I'm going to say Mariah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I'd say Mariah and Tim, and I think the folks that could flip, I think Maria can go either way. Maria's like, I don't care.
Right, First of all, at the first tribal,
what happens?
I can bet y'all $50 at the first tribal it won't be Maria.
Yeah,
because Maria will be at tribal like, listen, each and every one of y'all. Y'all write my name down. I'm going to find your address. I'm going to find where you live. And because, you know, Dr. Maria is a mom, she's going to be like, I'm going to write a bad Yelp review. Okay. And you know, them Yelp, people care about them Yelp reviews.
I think Maria's playing the best game of anyone so far.
I could see her winning.
I love me a little threat, you know.
I said that last week, but right now, as far as Siga, her and Charlie are sitting in the best spot.
But what I do worry about, first of all, she kept saying, who she say? Denise and Adam Klein.
Denise and Malcolm?
Denise and Malcolm.
Adam Klein.
Sorry. But in a more recent era, right? Like different dynamics, but almost remind me of a little Carson and Carolyn.
No.
Okay. But in that alliance, though,
I see Denise. I don't know if I see Charlie as a Malcolm.
I worry when it comes time to pull the trigger. Mm-hmm. I feel like Dr. Maria gonna be like, and I worry that like I worry that what's his name? Chuck. Charlie. I worry that Charlie might be a little like I don't know. I worry that when it's time to
he's all nervous. He's like, shake it off.
Wait, how would he be, Jack?
I'm trying to think of.
I am just
I'm sorry, Jeff.
Mind you, Dr. Maria like, move, boy. But I'm worried that he might get cold feet. And that might that's the only thing. But he does seem pretty locked in with Dr. Maria. So love Dr. Maria. Love Ben.
Yeah.
Love Jim.
So let's
love
take it to
Tim.
the immunity
Love
challenge.
Charlie. Love Mariah.
That's the thing, Bray. I can never say anything minutely bad about anybody, even the fact that they might go home, and you're like, hold on. So we get to the immunity challenge, and before we even get to the challenge itself, we got a lot of not only Jelinski slander, several comments, but we also got some inter-tribe smack talk. I mean, they had the buff on the idol, and Jeff had to like cut it off.
Mhm.
I liked it. Kevin was like, "But Jeff, what color hat do you wear?" Like, it's orange. So, and Jeff was like, "Damn, like, kind of got me." There was a lot of shit talking, and I like it. I like it.
I love it, but what Soda said, how is the food?
I was like,
When I say I gagged, first of all, again,
We love you, Queen Soda.
I want to come back and be Soda, because that's my type of energy with Wendell. It's like, who you? Never mind, I won't even go there. But that made me pause a little bit, because I also was like, dang, Soda. Okay, it's Soda and Dr. Maria. Okay.
Yo.
That just meant, like, again, I love it. And first of all, please give me more, okay? Because Soda said, he started with me. He started with me. I was like, he did.
I'm going to put the disclaimer out there. We love Queen Soda.
No, we do. Like, listen,
Yeah.
first of all, I need to be like Queen Soda at my job.
Queen Soda.
Aggressive emails. But that worried me, because I just feel like if there is an internal beef between everybody, like, I just hope that like Soda doesn't empty the clip, because you know how when people fight, then everyone looks at everyone like, ooh. So I love it though. I love her energy, but time out. If you think Soda was the MVP, baby, Banu came back. He said, let me tell you something. Have you ever heard of Gandhi? Gandhi went on a hunger strike. I said, I know we are not going there. Banu said, have you heard of Gandhi? He ain't eat.
he gave us a history lesson. Right. I was like,
then he started pointing his head. He was like, you think we hungry? You think we don't care about food? I was like, and so let's also just say that real quick, right? Mm-hmm. I know we all over the place, Jack. Get me together. But
I could talk about this Banu speech all day. So.
Okay, because I didn't know where he was going at first, because I was like, oh, wait. But then he said Gandhi. And I was like, but I think, again, when we're talking about Banu and this whole episode, and they're saying, oh, he's so emotional and he's so this and that. But like, yeah, he is. I'm a little emotional at times. But you see that fire? Do you he practically took Tiff's arm off. He was like, Jeff, Gandhi. And so it's like, I love that. But also it's like, respectfully, I'm going to need Q to just work on some of his comebacks, because his comeback was,
what did he say?
Well, that was 6 on 6. See us 5 on 5. Well, I think we saw your
yo, tomorrow's gonna be like, well, that was 5 on 5.
Well, see my 4 on 4.
He gonna be the only one standing.
But yeah, I just was like, yeah, I wanted a little smarter, but Banu had his back. Banu had his back. But Soda ate though.
Well, Banu's speech was so good too that the other times he wrapped up, and the other times were like, damn, like let's get into it.
I could tell you now, Gandhi was not on my Survivor bingo card this episode. But yeah, that was interesting. But I loved it. Yeah.
My only note about this soda thing, I
Mhm.
don't want her mouth to get her in trouble.
Yes.
I
Well,
don't.
I
but
don't,
I want to hear it.
but I want to see it.
I want
Well,
to hear it.
That's and now I want to talk about what Tiffany then said after the challenge, right? Because she does get emotional. I think Soda kind of like flipped in a way, right? Like we see a very complex character now because the first episode you see her super bubbly, camp counselor, kind of like a Marianne, right? And then you get this, what's up? Like, let's go. And I'm like, whoa. And I love the dichotomy, but I love
Yeah.
that is her. Like that, I love the conflict, but she's also so just really refreshing to see. in
And people
someone.
are complex people, and it's a
Hello?
beautiful thing that we have the ability to see that. Yeah,
And it's like,
the game.
right. And it's like, I like the fact that she like, I ain't start nothing. Like, you know, like I ain't gonna start nothing, but I'm gonna finish it. And so like, I love that complexity of her. And even when they were talking about Venus, and then she went back to talk to Tevin, and she was like, I don't think it's anything personal. So when she says these statements to us, I think that we need to do a better job of like, not like, you know what I mean? I just love the fact that like, even though, girl, you kind of gave it to Venus a little bit, you were still able to like break it down and disseminate information to your crew that wasn't tearing her down. Like, I don't know, like Soda is a dynamic player, and I hope we can see her for a long time.
yes, I hope we can see her for a long time. The only thing I'll say to this is it's a little dangerous talking smack to someone that you can't or you don't have the rapport with already. So it's like you don't even know this guy, but for 2 days. Yes. And then after the game, I think I saw her say something again. And to me, that's like, dag. Now it's like you're kicking somebody when they're down. They're in their lowest now. So
Well, I mean,
in Survivor,
her five
one
saw
thing
her,
that
her five saw they five. So
she knows the numbers. In Survivor, one of the things that I wanted to remain cognizant was to curb my celebrations. Like
Mhm.
if you win and keep it moving. You don't. So I'm just nervous for her because of that. And I'm just nervous for her.
or if it's like, again, when I say Soda has clocked in, right? Like she is, what's the name of their tribe? Yanu?
Nami.
Nami, right? Like even for me, one of the first things that I noticed about Soda was like, them not me, them not me. Like for me, what I love about Soda is that like you can tell she is so happy to be here. This is her first tribe. She is tribe strong. Like it's us against them. And I love that. But I think what might overshadow her is that we might get a tribe swap.
Mm.
And we know historically that the PA people do not always do a good job of mixing up the Johns of the Johns. And so you might be stuck on the tribe with day 3 to your 1. And that's their first. And Q do not look like somebody to me that forgets.
Yes. Yes, 100%. I wonder now that we're talking about this and like just like the intertribal, like the first impressions you make. The next on right kind of showed a boat. I wonder if this is like the whole you can go to the camp and take some shit from them. Because I remember specifically in my season when Cody came and did that shit to us, I was like, I don't like this boy at all. Just based off the way he dealt with us, I was like, no, I don't trust him. But I will say though, I just love how authentically herself Soda is. And that's it. It's liberating to see that. Sometimes though, being your full self can put you in danger.
It's hard. And to even piggyback to you on that, Karla, I was telling Wendell, I think what I love about Soda so much is that like, I know Sodas in real life. Like, you know what I mean? Like I love how authentically her she is. And yeah. So let's get to this tribe because word on the block, on the Twitter streets was saying that that specifically, hold on, let me just I know we jumping around, but they were saying that this is a puzzle that Jelinsky could have absolutely
His whole arm.
like he could have been there. What
Yeah.
you
Is
think
that
about
why
that,
he
Jet?
tweeted 7-foot wingspan?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
But wait. That's what Jelinsky tweeted,
Brice, leave that man alone.
Karla.
I think so. I didn't get it though because I wasn't watching the episode.
Oh,
But
Yeah.
now it makes sense.
You would have been able to hold all this.
Oh.
Yeah, you would
He
have
can
been.
go like this.
oh. So
But-
what would a shoe size be for something like that?
Enough.
No, because I'm just trying to figure out. Like, you probably need to like be planted. No, I'm asking for the simple geometry of it.
Gotcha.
Well, just respond to his tweet, his 7-foot wingspan tweet.
Oh.
Just ask him what his shoe size is.
He definitely rounded up on
I dare you.
on the wing.
Jelinsky. I know something I won't quit. Never mind.
Well, that does speak exactly to why they maybe should have kept him episode 1 instead of Jess, because now they probably would have won this challenge or not lost it, I should say. And then you still got your guy in the game that could be an asset to you instead of just voting out Jess like inevitably kind of had to happen anyways.
Now, how did we get
When you
here?
disagree with that?
Because
He lost everything, bro. Like, he is
But-
over 4. What makes you think that he would do anything right? Just because he's done?
In this challenge, and obviously you don't know what challenge is coming. So this is like Brice said, some Monday morning quarterbacking. But Jelinsky would have been more helpful in this challenge than Jess was. I mean, we saw Jess try to hold up 2 blocks and just immediately, like, Jelinsky is tall. Like, the hardest part of this is reaching the top center and like holding things up there. Now, maybe Jelinsky would have failed again. It's definitely in his repertoire, but
There's no maybe. There's no maybe about it.
you think
But-
Jelinsky would be worse in this challenge than Jess would?
First of all,
I have to take on this challenge. We'll get to it.
maybe it was
Maybe
the edit,
Jelinsky would
but
have taken over like the spelling of the word and just botched it all. Maybe that's what would have happened. I don't know.
You've been trying to write Jelinsky.
I have some hot takes, but
Lay it on us.
Let's get into.
so again, I do feel like, I mean, you had to push a cart, you had to cut a rope, push a cart. If I would love to be the rope here, but cut the rope, untie the thing, push the cart, then you got to spell this word out, right? And so, for me, the Purple Tribe, yeah, they were doing bad, but obviously, I feel like a lot was edited out because we see that outburst by Tiffany at the end. And from what we see as viewers, it doesn't seem to warrant that level of reaction. So I definitely feel like it was a little edited because from what I could see, Jess was doing what she could do. And I mean, just from the little clips that they saw of Jess. But for me, my biggest critique is with Q. Because it seemed like when they were spelling and putting the words up, it seemed like, again, he stepped up. So you can't never be mad at the person that steps up. But I also feel like I think some of the blame of what I could see was that, like, you're not imagining, you're not putting the best pieces or the best people together to hold the stuff. But I only say that because it's like you stepped up in that role. Because there were so many times like he would go get a letter and it would fall, and it's like, no, like you need to like hold it here, tell Banu to move over. But that's just my quarterbacking.
Yeah, I mean, I think every tribe struggled with the organizational component of this challenge. Not to say that it was easy, but it's like if they took a minute to just strategize like who holds what where instead of just like freelancing it, it could have gone a lot better.
Yeah, I could tell you if I was out there, I would have just struggled with the spelling.
We know that. This looked tremendously hard, and holding your hands up for a long amount of time is difficult in and of itself. And for you to have multiple blocks, like I can only imagine. That's why I said earlier they did a really good job of showing like how hard this challenge was. Yeah. Towards the end, and persistence is like a good word for that because like they had to be persistent to get it up and to keep it up there. And towards the end, I think at the end, after Purple lost, we had some moments right there, right? Can we get into that a little bit, or do we have other things to say before that?
No,
Do
I
we
think
want to talk about Venus when we got ran over?
I mean, we'll get back
GTA.
there. That conversation happens after the challenge, so let's talk about Yanu after they lose.
Mhm.
I was just saying that the accident happened during the challenge. So
Oh yeah. But she doesn't really bring that up.
But we do
until-
hear her saying left, left, left. in the
Yes,
challenge.
yes. Venus, her toe gets run over despite her better efforts.
And in the beginning of the episode, I think they are deciding to go somewhere or do something. She offers an opinion and they don't even acknowledge it and do something else. So I think, again, foreshadowing. But go ahead. Get to your point, Wendeezy. I mean, not get to your point, but.
no, I just want to talk about what happens on the mat afterwards.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, what happened? Y'all, I want the moderator to tell us what happened. So I
No,
can.
you brought it up. You come on, quarterback it.
Yeah, after the challenge, the tensions are definitely very high. And I mean, the thing that stood out to me the most was, Tiffany being like, I got some ish I want to say, but I'm not going to say because I don't that would make me look bad. But, by saying that she wants to say something is still kind of saying something, you know what I mean? And then obviously Banu is also kind of hyper emotional as well. And I mean, the frustrations are just very tangible. And Jess is just sort of just chilling.
She's taking it on the chin, bro. So what I thank you for. What I wanted to say was, and then we saw the Tiffany confessional where she was like, she didn't want to seem like the angry black woman, and she was kind of beating herself up about that. And what I said to Brice earlier was, I think that I'm willing to bet that the edit kind of protected Tiffany a little bit in this challenge. I wonder how much yelling she was doing in the challenge for her to be so hard on herself afterwards and so cognizant, oh my gosh, I'm about to look like the angry black woman. We got a taste of it when she was like, you know what, I'm gonna just keep my mouth shut. I'm not gonna say anything. But and to that I say, all love to Jess. I don't know how ready she was to play Survivor, or I don't know if she had enough time to get her footing. But in a challenge like this, and although we didn't see Tiffany yelling at her, I think that if there's someone that's also yelling at you and you're on the outs and it's hard for you to get your footing already, I think that can really throw you off your game. So if and I'm making this up because I didn't see her really yelling at her, I could just see what's going on in the tribe. But I think that that's not doing her any favors or helping y'all win this if while you're losing at the challenge, you're also kind of berating someone, if that was what was happening. That's all I'm saying. So despite Jess being on the outs, y'all not helping her if you're yelling at her or using her as a scapegoat.
And my question is, if Jess is doing what if she is doing her very best?
That's always the tough balance because I think about when I'm playing basketball or other sports, you want to be a good teammate and a good leader. And so I never want to put someone down when they're trying their best, but they're struggling. But at the same time, there comes a point where it's even if you're trying your best, if you're just sabotaging the team, it's really hard not to get frustrated because it's your best is still just ruining everything for us. Not to say that that's exactly what happened with Jess, but I can see why it's if everything was clicking with the team in this challenge, and then it's just Jess who's giving her best, which her best still looked a little lackadaisical in the sense that she wasn't hustling her butt off. Obviously, she was tired.
You know how humid it is in Fiji?
What's up?
You know how humid it is in Fiji?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Her best, I'm not to say she wasn't giving her best, but her best just might not have been very good. And that's where it's I don't know if I would berate her per se, but I would just be Jess, what, come on, dude. And that's why you have to vote her out at this point, which is why it's because it's just if one player is completely ruining your chances of winning anything, it's really frustrating. But I don't, as Wendell and Karla, as having been in a lot of team challenges. Well, Brice, you posited the question, Brice. So
Oh,
I'm
but I've
saying-
been in a lot of team challenges on
Yeah, but I'm
Survivor.
not gonna have you answer your own question.
Oh,
What?
okay. Because I just,
Yeah,
I just
I was
wanted
gonna
to
say,
say.
right, like Wendell and Karla, like for this question of when there's someone
was-
who's really struggling, like how do you handle it? I don't know.
Jack said,
Well, it's hard because in our tribe stage, when someone wasn't pulling slack, it was like the silent treatment, or it was like, we're gonna get them out next. We didn't say we never like said it to them, but we were definitely talking about it. And I think it was obvious, like we were pretty frustrated. Yeah, we weren't that nice about it.
I'm trying to think. I don't think I like trying to, like, when I'm playing sports or a challenge, I like trying to be one of the leaders, but I don't think there's a point where I'm yelling at the person that's the weakest link on our team.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case.
I think it's also different in game mode, right? Like, again, we're not saying that. I'm just saying, like, in game mode, I think it's different. It's like, yo, Karla, get it. Like, I think that when the adrenaline is running is a little different than
That's how you communicate.
Right. Than
Yeah.
being like, Jack, what are you doing? Like, so, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely, and Brice, I'll take it a step further because you and I talked about this earlier. Q's form of communication during this challenge. I think I would be receptive to how he's talking in the challenge. Like, yo, like direct, like there's urgency to this. I didn't receive his speech as talking down to anyone, just like, yo, this is do or die here. Let's, pick this up, hold your hands. Like, that's how I think I might speak, like super direct with urgency.
And that's the thing about Survivor. We don't know people's baggage. We don't know people's trauma. We don't know how that could potentially trigger some, like, you know what I mean? So again, I don't think innately they wanted to win and they were trying their best.
And all things considered, I feel like Jess took it pretty well, where she was just kind of like took the hits. But I think that's in part of because of the fact that I don't think they came at her like super personal. They were just frustrated that she was sucking, and like she was kind of like, yeah, I sucked. Like, it is what it is. Like,
yeah, but also I'll just say this: as if I were to be in Jess's shoes and Banu yelled at me the way that he yelled at her, I would have snapped. Like, I don't like men talking to me in a certain way, and if a man yelled at me that way, I'd been like, what are you doing? You know, like, but you're in the moment, so it's so hard to say, right? Because you're sweating, you're like, fuck, we're gonna lose. Can I curse here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt like that was probably the most glaring incident that we saw, was just Banu just screaming at her. But like you said, like, that's mid-challenge, so it's also like you're not just gonna stop and be like, Banu, that was very nice. You're just gonna keep, and then I think that's the difference too. Like Wendell said, it's like the way you're talking mid-challenge is different than the way it's like if after the challenge they're like, Jess, you're terrible. Then I'd be like, damn, like I tried my best. Like,
but you also pick, like, that's something I wouldn't forget. Like, if I saw a team member treat someone else like that, I would clock it, and then I would probably like ask questions, kind of like, hey, I think you should probably apologize, or that's what I did, just to like.
It's important for sure to always be lifting your squad up, but sometimes, like, no matter how much lifting you do, the person is just gonna fuck. But at that point, instead of like berating them, I would always you just kind of give, like you said, Karla. It's like, I'm not gonna yell at you, but I might vote you out. You know. So.
How was we compared Q to Danny McCray last episode? What was Q's response on the mat afterwards? If I'm not mistaken, I think he was just like kind of quiet and like internalizing it. Am I wrong?
Nothing stood out.
I think after the challenge, I think everyone was.
Well, no, because people were talking. What I'm trying to say, I think, is what I'm trying to say is Q was a college athlete, and like Danny was a pro athlete, and we saw him like picking people up and this, that. These people that played on these high levels have lost when the stakes are super high, and taking an L as someone that has played a lot of sports is like, this is life. And or even to like people that have done anything, that have taken L's and they like understand. I think I saw Q just understanding like, all right, this is an L. It's time to figure out what's next, as opposed to thinking like, I'm so mad at any of it. No, we took an L. Now what's next? I don't know how to kind of communicate.
No,
that.
I agree, and I think all things considered, I felt like the tribe in general, like given their frustrations, actually lost fairly gracefully. Like,
Right,
I think
they were pretty
I think
close.
there's worse losers out there, right? Like sometimes I play like just really like when I play like pickup basketball. Sometimes you'll have someone on your team, you lose, they might be the worst player on the team. They're blaming everyone else, and it's just the most toxic thing. So we don't see that a lot on Survivor, for better or for worse. But like the frustrations were obviously evident in the challenge, and some words were discussed after, but it wasn't like I think it was what it was.
Yeah. And
one last thing. I'm sorry, Brice. I'm so sorry. I think that I just continue to sing Q's praises because my perception of him going into the game was so different. I thought he was going to be Chris Noble from Ghost Island, just like a big, strong, like non-self-aware, kind of like almost a meathead, not to call Chris a meathead, but so seeing how Q is like actually doing this and communicating with things with people, I'm kind of impressed by it. That's all.
Yeah.
yeah,
I agree.
I agree as well.
Yeah, the pro athletes always usually do pretty well with the challenges because they understand like you have to be a pro athlete, you got to be a good teammate, and that's But now we get to the post immunity stuff. Before we get over to Yanu, we see some fallout of the Venus toe incident and we discussed this a little bit earlier, so I don't want to dive too much into it for the sake of time, but they get back to camp after getting first place, and Venus is like, you guys didn't listen to me. And then that also prompts Soda being like, Venus loves to play the victim. I mean, we touched on it earlier, but what do we think about this sort of exchange and this dynamic?
Here's the thing. I'm mad at Venus, right? Because again, from what we understand from these 2 hours that we have watched, she feels like she does not have a voice. And because she doesn't have a voice, now her toe is injured, right? So, I mean, I'm mad. Like, let's break down the communication. Like, hey, like my toe hurt. And it hurt because I said left and y'all didn't go left. Like, I mean, I'm mad at Venus. Now, right place, wrong time, maybe. But I feel like if you don't have a voice, your foot gets injured. So you just continue not to have a voice?
No, I would. It's hard, right? There's so many times I clearly got banged up, but I never came up to the tribe and was like, y'all let me get hurt? Like, what's up? Like, why didn't y'all hear me?
You had a voice. You had a voice.
But it is tough after your team wins to be, again, I make a pickup basketball analogy. It's like if your team wins and then a player on the team is like, hey, I was open for that layup and you didn't pass it to me.
No,
I'd
that's
be like,
different.
Well,
No. Say the member of your crew has a sprained ankle.
Okay.
So don't just say like a pickup, like I was open. No, say they got a sprained ankle. So if they got a sprained ankle, they're not going to tell you I got a sprained ankle because I told you to give.
I don't think it's a sprained ankle. I think that's a bad analogy. I think it's more like
over her toe.
They got a little scratch on their arm.
Or like when the ball hits your finger. What is it called?
A jam finger. Yeah.
Because look, I don't mind her being like, hey, maybe we can communicate a little bit better. But in the grand scheme of things, I do feel like it's, you're in the heat of a challenge. Just because you're like, go left doesn't mean you can move out the way. Like,
if that was an isolated incident, can we please stop discrediting how Venus feels in this moment, that she feels like she does not have a voice? That's the only thing that I'm saying. I agree that like you should have probably left it alone. However, if this thing is piling up and piling up and piling up on you, and now they running over your toe. Have you ever kicked that toe on the bed in the middle of the night, try to lead them like y'all? That's all I'm saying. Like,
look, I would be annoyed too if we were in the challenge and I was like, guys, you're about to run into me, like we got to move, and no one listens. That would be annoying. But for the sake of her game, you can't win the challenge and be like, but you guys didn't do this. You won. You got to be like good. That's sort of why maybe the reason she's kind of an outcast in this group is a little bit from both sides, because it's like, I think a person who is good with the crew wouldn't be like, you guys didn't listen to me. Like, you know what I mean?
See, here's the thing. I just feel like I wish Venus would have played it a little better.
Yes.
Like I wish she would have went fishing with them, but girl just limped down to the beach, right? Like, you know, and then they be like, girl, what's wrong with your foot? Like, you know, I told y'all to go left and you ran over my foot. I feel like that could have been received a little better. But again, I still kind of like, I'm mad at Venus standing on business. So, not saying it's a good gameplay, but I'm not mad at her. Again, we continue to see she don't have a voice. They're not listening to her. And now y'all running over my feet.
I think we can all agree that her delivery was what she's trying to say is, hey, there's not great communication.
And my foot hurt.
I think there's a better time and place and delivery for that. Now, we're also on day 3, 4, and if for the first couple days she feels as though there's not good communication, then in a challenge, I think she might be looking for that time that there's bad communication so that she can.
I just feel like you're not qualified.
Let me land this. Hold on.
But it's not necessarily unjustified either. I don't think Wendell's saying that it's unreasonable because but I'm gonna let him land the plane.
Thank you. So for that to happen, that reinforces what's happened for the last couple days in her head or what she perceives, and now you win. You get back. You get back. What's this? An hour and a half. You get back now. Like you gotta wait. You see the doctor. You see everything.
But you know you can't talk during that time.
Atlantis. You take the boat back to the island. You know you walk up the beach, and now it's like, oh, now I can't go swimming with y'all because my foot hurts. Hold on a second. Did you just see Dr. Joe? Did the doc say, you know, your foot's broken, or do you have a stub toe? Do you have a hangnail? What's going on is something going on with your toe? Is this the right time to do this when your tribe is celebrating? I just think there's a better time and a place to do it. And to what Karla said earlier, I almost think that that's one of these things where it's like, you know what? We won. I could see the forest for the trees. I ain't even gonna say nothing. My toe hurts a little bit. Yeah, you right. You know, take that on the chin.
Karla, let me ask you this question. Before we go, for the viewers that are listening, before you go to challenges and different things, what happens? We have to go sit in them tents and wait for everything.
Yeah, you do wardrobe and you do doc.
Yeah.
So remind me even if it's an hour or 2 hours, remind me if we are allowed to communicate with each other during that time.
But that's what Wendell's saying.
No.
He's saying because you can't communicate, her first thing she comes back and says is this.
If your foot has been throbbing.
No, I'm also saying if your foot is so injured, then you also had the ample time to talk to how injured is your foot if
I'm sorry, I didn't know that the tribe out there was the medical people. She could have talked to the medical people. Now I'm gonna talk to the people that ran over my foot.
She bumped 2 hours ago and talked to a doctor. I know that.
You're saying, well, okay, yeah, I would have, yeah. In that situation though, they're all going to the water. If you're already out, go to the water. Tell them there in the water that your foot hurts.
So maybe this is why I connect with Venus, because
someone's listening.
Does your toe hurt?
My toe do hurt a little bit, but is it a petty move? Yes. Maybe. But sometimes
it could be justified.
That's what the spirit gives. And so I'm not mad at somebody that's like
petty moves can get you sent home.
Okay.
Exactly. I'm not saying that I can't relate to her, but I'm saying there's such a better way to spin this where you go down in the water with your team. Maybe you're limping a little bit, like you said. And they're like, why are you limping? You're like, look, we were in the heat of the challenge and, you know, our communication got a little thrown off. So my toe got ran over, but I'm glad that we were still able to pull out the win. I love you guys. And they'd be like, wow, she's a warrior. Like she's willing to put her toe on the line.
And we're sorry.
Yeah, we're sorry. Like next time we'll communicate better because we know you're sacrificing for us. And instead she's like, you guys don't listen to me. My toe hurts. Like,
okay.
Which I can't even say I want to do the same thing, but it's just not. It's not the best game. Given that Venus is one of my favorites right now, I'm like, let's turn this around a little bit.
All right.
Yeah. But now to the meat and the potatoes of
man.
the Yanu tribe coming back from the challenge, disappointed in themselves. Jess is the obvious target, and there's concerns about shot and dark. So Kenzie, Tiffany, and Q come up with this plan basically to plant the idol to get Jess to find it. Jess actually doesn't find it. So then Q is like, you know what, I'm gonna just go give it to her. And he gives it to her, and he's like, I want to say it. There's a lot of nonsense, and I guess I'll just recap the other stuff, and then we can just dive into everything. And then Banu hears there's some ramblings about him, so Banu and Jess are both scared, and Q knows that they're looking at him as an option to maybe get out Kenzie, but he's like, I'm not going to do this without Tiffany. And Tiffany's obviously very close to Kenzie, and I don't know. It's a whole mess. Jess feels like sort of the obvious vote, especially once you give her a fake idol, because this was like I don't know if I liked it or not. It was a car crash. That's like, you can't take your eyes off of it. And I don't know if it was like interesting or not. So I just want to hear your guys' thoughts, because I don't really know what I think.
But also, isn't that the ultimate, or couldn't that be the ultimate distraction to pick off a Kenzie? Like this whole fake idol thing. And I told y'all earlier, like, I was upset that we watched all of this just for it to be so straightforward. I really was. But then I'm like, man, this is a great hoax, smoke and mirrors, if they are actually going to pick off Kenzie.
I'd say I was a little disappointed in Q, only in the sense of I wish ask for forgiveness later. Like, I wish he would have just executed the Kenzie move, right? And then like went to Tiff and been like, I'm sorry, I had to do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of almost wish he kind of pulled the trigger. I think it's very smart that he didn't move without Tiff, but I feel like seize the opportunity when you can.
So keep Jess.
It's not for me.
Yeah.
Because Kenzie is someone, look, she's playing a little bit too deviously, but she's someone where if she's tends to be on my side, whether it's through a Tiffany or not, or whatever, when we go to the merge or a swap with lower numbers and she has some loyalty to me, I think she's going to be an asset for a while. Whereas Jess is like, if we go into a swap or a merge, no one's going to be looking at her. Also, if she's still on my tribe, it's more likely that we're going to lose again. So it's like, again, it's like, just take out Jess, and then maybe your four can move forward.
I also feel like, now I'm fast forwarding a lot only because I feel like I was reading a lot of articles, and of course everyone is calling Banu a mess and like, the worst player from this episode. But I really feel like, in my opinion, like he is emotional, but like he's a strong player. And I just personally feel like he wants a number one, and he does not have that. And I feel like maybe some energy may have been wasted on this Jess move. And I really feel like a Q or a Kenzie, like if they would have locked in with him, because when he's at tribal and turns to Kenzie and says, who you like, just tell me who to vote for, right? Like for me, Kenzie's like, it's your game too. But I didn't necessarily get that. Like what I got was like, what are we doing? Right. And clearly he doesn't know. And so for me, that is telling me that like y'all are leaving him in the dark. Like no one, I just feel like he doesn't believe the Q thing. I just feel like he is a missed opportunity, that somebody should be one-on-one without Jess, like pouring into this man like a Emily and Caleb, because I just feel like, he's a solid player, and I feel like he just needs some support or feeling like he's secure. And I also feel like that he is cognizant enough to know that Jess ain't the support that is going to be long-term for him.
I'm willing to bet that someone does that soon. I'm willing to bet that someone takes the opportunity. I think that a lot of people on this tribe, because I do believe that Kenzie, Q, and Tiff are locked in, like they know how to. I think that they know how to play this game. So I'm willing to bet that we see somebody go to him, and learning that he has the ability to go off just like that, I think they're gonna have a better way to communicate with him going someone, or whether they're like, yo, you can't flip out like that. Like Tiff was like, yo, you're making the block hot, chill out.
Yeah.
I think someone is gonna have this conversation with him to where it's like, but I also think we're gonna see some more of these blow-ups from him. But I think they're gonna find a way to be like, yo, we gonna give you the word, or we're locked in. I got you. Just keep it a little cooler or something like that.
I also feel like his blow-ups could be his superpower.
Yes, I was about to say, or it could be the opposite. And
like where it's like he could use it against you, you know what I mean? Because it's like, if now I know that like y'all believe that I'm always telling the truth and I'm this emotional person, well, let me word vomit something else. Like I feel like standing your truth, your truth is your superpower. Now, my one question to y'all is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how messy is Jeff being at these tribals? Because why he ain't have to pull Banu's card like that.
Banu like showed his own card.
I know, but
and I think that's why Jeff is like, we don't even need to cast villains anymore, because I think Jeff is willing to like.
Jeff is like Jeff getting busy, because like Banu is doing it himself, but Jeff definitely poured a little gasoline on there.
Yeah. Okay, and then when it comes to this like whole idol thing, I mean, the thing is, once Jess knows that it might be a little suspicious,
look me in my eye.
You can still play the shot in the dark and then play the idol as a backup. Like, that's the thing.
But to some other people's, I'll agree. I don't think that Jess was even locked in to even think that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like
that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're at all skeptical, just play your shot in the dark, and if it doesn't work, then play the idol, because if it's real, it'll work, and if it's not real, then you should be playing your shot in the dark. So honestly, the concern is like, if it really is real and Q is trying to make trust with you, then it's obviously playing your shot in the dark kind of shows that you don't trust him. But it's like, I'd rather have to cross that bridge when I get to it than like just go home because he's lying to me. Which, once you see that the beads on the torches are like the exact same as your idol, you could be like, I know the art's talking about budget cuts, but I didn't think it was this bad.
So I feel like I've been a little hard on Q, but it's all with love. But I think Q's redeeming factor for me today was when Jess is like, look me in my eyes, and he was like, you know, give it back then. Give it back. But
she's like, no.
Jess is like, oh no, I try to give it back. I was like, okay, all right, Q is good for me, because that give it back was so good. That was on time.
It was solid. Right. At the same time, if I'm a Jess and I'm like, hey, can you just look me in the eyes and tell me it's real, and someone has all these other answers that aren't that's sketchy.
I know, but
so he could have found a fake idol. I don't know.
Yeah.
But also to give it back, I don't even know if I would have thought to say that. I thought that was cool.
No, that was funny. And it was
Now, the thing, since we sort of covered everything, the thing that the idea that I sort of had was, if I'm like a Q and a Tiffany, and I'm sort of the deciding votes here, I actually think it might be the smartest to go for Banu here, because you get down to 4. And for me, in these small tribes, when you are thinking about it as a numbers game, and like, how do I and my closest ally make it to the end of this tribe? Once you're going to 4, I want 2 people that are the most opposed to each other, so that I know that they're never going to link up against me and Tiffany, assuming I'm Q, right? And so we see Kenzie and Jess firing some shots at each other. I think you take out Banu, you know that you don't really have to worry about Jess and Kenzie like going to rocks against you. Whereas Kenzie and a Banu have some connection, or a Bonzu and a Jess might have some connection. I think Banu, you know, given he's also a wild card, I like it. He's one of my personal favorites in this season. I do think he has some loyalty to his tribe going forward. But I think you take him out, you know that if you lose again, if you're Q and Tiffany, that you're good. And I think that's a really important thing at this stage of the game. But maybe, like I said earlier, Jess is just such a problem in these challenges. You just get rid of her. Maybe your 4 can move forward into a swap without her effectively.
That's my one thing with Q. Just seeing from episode 1 to episode 2, you say the wrong thing or you don't like. I feel like he's liable to be like, "See ya."
Mm-hmm. And he really, what's the term? Like, not appreciates, but he's all about like that grit, that hard work, that don't quit. And him coming from a competitive background, I wouldn't see that working. He's like, we need to win.
Because say hypothetically, the next challenge, say Tiffany just randomly, because that's the person he's the most closest to. Say she's not performing and like she like taps out, but Banu kills it. I wonder, like, would Q be like? Say that again.
I don't think Q would flip on Tiffany, but maybe he would steer the target on Kenzie. Like, I actually think, given their circumstances now, Kenzie is the most sensible target for them next if they're worried about her loyalty down the line, or especially if Q is specifically. But that's why Tiffany's in the best spot, because I don't think anyone really wants her out, and she's got
You think that's their best, their smartest target? Do you think they would pull that trigger?
Well, I don't know, because I think if you really are good with Kenzie, that she's going to be an asset for you. If you go into a merge or swap, and say they have to go to tribal again and they vote out Banu, Kenzie is someone, if she has some loyalty to you, I think she's going to put in a lot of work with people, and it's either going to go well and you're going to gain some allies, or it's going to go bad and she's going to put a target on herself and she's going to be like the first Yanu to go. Whereas keeping like a Banu, he might not be able to pull people in as well, sort of for your cause. But given that Kenzie has done a lot of scrambling and that's led to Q kind of having to like counter scramble, if you don't trust her going forward, then all these elements that I just mentioned that could be a benefit to you could also be a detriment to you. So it might just be better to get rid of that.
Now, hypothetically, just asking a question, if we are saying Tiff is in the best position, is there a world that Kenzie and Q could be like?
No.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I was
He's in the best position because they aren't going to do that.
Yeah, I don't see them doing that.
I don't see them either, but I'm just since Jack was saying that, I'm like, is there a world that later down the line could they be like, wow, she's in a good like? But again, I don't see Q crossing her, and I don't see Kenzie crossing her. Yeah. But could they be like, maybe? I don't want that to happen though, but
I don't know.
But she's really in a good spot right now because she's connected to Q and Kenzie. So if they don't really want to work with it anymore, but she's not really in a good spot, and then it sort of like reverses everything around.
I see Tiff cutting Kenzie off before
Q.
Any other thing like that. Yeah, I think could be the ultimate betrayal.
Yeah. Now could Banu foil that?
Tribal.
Well, that's why I said maybe Banu was the right idea, because we have seen Kenzie and Banu connect. So maybe now that it's 4 people and they know that Tiffany and Q are close, now there is a concern that Kenzie and Banu could come together and do something to mess things up for a Q and a Tiffany.
Yeah.
Does anyone know about Tiffany's idol?
Yes.
Kenzie
and I would imagine and Q.
Well, yeah, definitely Q, because he gave the note from the idol with.
Right. Oh yeah, all 3. Yeah,
but
Banu doesn't.
Did he read it though? No, I'm just saying not that. I'm saying like because we only saw Tiff and Kenzie discussing it. They could have just. I don't know.
Of course, he read it. I mean, yeah, he definitely read it.
Well, it was already wrapped up.
Yeah, but I mean, he like gave it to Jess and she opened it up.
I mean, I'd like you to give me the idol.
I wonder if then it's gonna be like a missed idol play, or like someone foils, like there's gonna be I don't know. That'd be cool. But
they're doing a lot of they're going to tribal a lot, so we might. Now, granted, the 4 of them look like they can start winning. The optics are like, yo, y'all okay. Now y'all cut some stuff. Now are y'all gonna win? But who knows? Because they don't have a good track record.
Final thought: is there a world that Raymond
Brandon? Yeah.
Is there a world that he throws the next challenge?
Oh, to get his yes. I see it.
I say no.
I don't think the next one, but maybe down the line.
Okay.
Brandon is the one with Hunter, right?
Yes.
Yes.
If your tribe is very strong and y'all are continuing, like y'all are just getting out, does it make sense to throw it so that you can personally get an idol?
Especially he doesn't feel like he's in the majority.
Okay, so you might get
That's
an
less of a reason to lose, honestly.
just so you can burn an idol to save yourself that night.
I mean, I also think that he knows the position of Venus.
I would say, go ahead, Karla.
I don't know. It's hard because Ryan threw a challenge during, we were doing well. And we were kind of, well, that's what he said, in the cameras. We never knew about that until after, but it's because he played it off to make it seem like, I don't know, actually, I still don't know if he really threw it or not, or he just couldn't get it on the board. But I could see it happening in a way that it's like, oh, we really struggled, or like it was one minor accident. Actually, no, because he's not in a good position. Never mind.
Yeah, you can see it happen. We can always see someone throwing a challenge, but like, does it make sense?
Correct.
I think
next is too soon, but I think if you're at like the final 14 and you're like, okay, I would like to get my idol before we go to the merge.
I still question it. Because now it's like, because now you're okay, if you've won out and you're still on the bottom or near bottom of your tribe, you're literally earning an idol. And you could be the one voted out.
But remember,
you have to feel good that you're not going to get voted out. For sure.
Remember, though, this idol isn't just his in his eyes. Remember, Venus is determined to use this idol as well. Yeah. So she's going to do whatever it takes to ensure that they get the idol.
Oh, you're right. So it's not even just him. It could be Venus.
Yeah, so now y'all got to worry about.
I mean, listen.
Liz. Go talk to Liz.
I mean, I think if Orange Tribe loses, I actually think there's a pretty good chance it's just going to be Liz. But
yeah, especially all the money talk she's been doing.
Yeah, even like the main crew of like Soda and Tevin don't really seem to be feeling her too much. Because we saw last episode, they're like, "Why are you talking about your money so much?" Like,
where big money talks. Okay. Well, it's safe to say that this has been a great recap. We can't thank you enough, Karla, for joining us. Hopefully it will not be your last. Jackery, as always, you are an amazing moderator. And well, before we go, Jackery, do you know this? Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Do you know what genre of happy birthday would that be, Jack?
What's the word? I would say it has a little more seasoning than the standard happy birthday.
Okay, you skid that ice real clean. Before we go, just want to wish Wendeezy a very happy born day. You are very, very old. To hit the 4-0 is a huge milestone.
It's really?
Yes, girl.
Yeah. Happy birthday, 40 years.
Yeah. Now y'all talk about me and my tender young age. Wendeezy is older than me, but listen, regardless of you being 40, you don't look 40. You look great. You're very successful. You're a great friend. You're a great father. You're a great contributor to this podcast. And I am eternally grateful for our friendship. I wouldn't be the Brice Isaiah I am without you. And I wish, 40
Thanks,
more. 40
Thanks,
more.
everyone.
Thanks, guys. Means the world.
But
Means the world.
damn. You all.
Okay. I'm still 39 for a few more hours.
When this podcast comes out, you 40.
Whatever. Get me out of here.
All right. Happy birthday, Wendeezy. Thanks,
Thanks.
Karla. We'll be back next week. Bye, guys.
See y'all.
Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Dot, dot, dot.
Hmm.